What's up guys, Kalipis Tech here, coming back at you with another video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Motorola Moto G Power 2021. I'm going to be going over everything you need to know about this phone to decide if it's the right one for you. So let's get started. Before we get into the phone itself, let's take a look at what comes in the box. So we got a quick start guide here, a SIM card removal tool, a wall adapter, and a USB-C cable. And now onto the device itself. So this phone has a 6.6-inch IPS LCD display with a resolution of 720p, a PPI of 266, an aspect ratio of 20:9, and a screen-to-body ratio of 83.8%. We got a hole punch up here for the front-facing camera that looks really nice, and this camera is 8 megapixels. Right now I do have the brightness at 100%, and I would say it looks pretty decent. The phone itself has a slim, modern design that feels really nice in the hand. It's not too bulky, so it really gives you the advantage of, on one hand, having a large display, but on the other, having a phone that's not so bulky that it's uncomfortable to carry around. This phone has 32 gigabytes of internal storage with microSD card expansion, so that's not too bad. I have seen worse, but at the same time, I feel like it should have just a little bit more. There are plenty of phones that have 64 gigabytes of internal storage, like the Blue G71 and the Blue G91 that actually has 128, and those phones are actually a little bit lower end than this phone. And then the international version of the Samsung Galaxy A12 actually has 64 gigabytes of internal storage, and that's around this exact price range, maybe actually a little bit cheaper, but it still has a lot more storage. And the list really goes on. There are plenty of phones in this price range and below and above, really around the same ballpark, that have a lot more storage than this one. For the average user, 32 gigabytes should be acceptable if you watch what you're doing, but for a power user, you're really gonna want more storage than this. So if you think that's gonna be an issue for you, I do suggest looking at other devices. Even the Motorola Moto G Stylus 2021 isn't really that much more expensive than this one, and it has 128 gigabytes of internal storage, so that also might be something to consider. This phone does not have wireless charging, but it does have a fingerprint scanner and face unlock, and the fingerprint scanner is located in a really good spot right here on the power button. And it's nice because you'll usually be touching that button to wake up the display anyway. So if it unlocks while you're doing that, it just saves you a lot of time and makes things that much more convenient. Let's go ahead and give it a try. There we go, one more time. And as you can see, that was really fast and responsive. No problems there, definitely among the faster fingerprint scanners out there. Now for our rear camera setup here, we do have a triple camera setup with a 48 megapixel rear camera, a 2 megapixel macro camera, and a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera. Now this is a really good setup, especially the rear camera. I am impressed. You usually don't see phones at this price range with such a good camera, but I do wish it had an ultra wide camera. Lots of phones in this price range, for example, the Samsung Galaxy A12 do have ultra wide cameras, and phones that are a lot cheaper than this one do have ultra wide cameras as well. So I wish this one also had an ultra wide camera. This is a picture taken with the rear camera of the phone. It's definitely not bad at all. I like how the colors and the sharpness and just the overall quality of the image looks. The only thing is it could be a little bit brighter, a little bit more vibrant, but for the level this phone's at, this is actually really impressive. For video, this phone can shoot up to 1080p in the rear and front cameras. I'm going to show you a quick video sample to give you an idea of what this phone can do. We're doing a quick video sample with the Motorola Moto G Power 2021. We are shooting in 1080p right now. Also keep in mind the quality of the audio. So as you can see from that little demonstration, the video quality is definitely pretty decent, but if you're looking for really high quality videos that look super professional or a high definition like 4K, then I might suggest something like the Motorola Moto G Stylus 2021 that's a little bit of a step up from this one. but for more casual purposes, the video on this phone is perfectly fine. Internally, this phone is getting 3 GB of RAM with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 662 processor. I ran a Geekbench 5 benchmark test on this phone and it came back with a single core score of 306 and a multi-core score of 1370, so really not bad at all, especially for its price range. I wouldn't expect flagship performance from this phone. You're not going to be running games like Fortnite and all that, but based on my experience, I've had no performance issues. You'll be able to do all your regular stuff like sending text messages, making calls, web browsing, social media, even playing some games and video editing, but it's still not going to be anywhere near the performance of a higher end flagship phone. Now the battery is probably the best feature about this phone. This phone has a 5000 mAh battery that supports 15 watt fast charging. So that's one of the biggest batteries you can get in a phone. It's almost double the size of the iPhone 12's battery actually, that has a 2815 mAh battery. So that really goes to show this phone is gonna last not only a long time throughout the day, but also down the road once this battery starts to degrade, which all batteries do. Since this battery is so large, you're not gonna notice it as much. Now, I will point out that this phone is currently running Android 10. I don't know if or ever Motorola is actually going to provide updates for that. So if you are concerned with getting the latest updates of Android when they come out, this is probably not going to be the device for you. So now that we've gone over some of the specs of the phone, let's take a look at the hardware. On the left side here, we have the slot for the SIM card and the micro SD card. On the right side, we have our volume keys and our power key. At the top, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack and the noise canceling microphone. At the bottom, we have the microphone, a USB-C charging port, and the speaker. On the back, we have our camera setup and our flash, and then there's a Motorola logo right here in the middle. The back is made of this metallic silver material, and it doesn't pick up fingerprints very badly. Now, the silver color, I'm not a huge fan of. It makes the phone just look a little cheap, whereas I feel like if it were black or blue or even red or white or something, anything but silver really, it would look a lot better. I really think the phone would look a lot higher end with a different color. But as it is, despite that color that I don't really care for, the rest of the phone looks decently nice and it feels really high quality as well. While it doesn't have materials that strike me as high end in and of themselves, it doesn't feel cheap at all. You can tell the effort was put into the build of this one. Now, in conclusion, my final thoughts about the Motorola Moto G Power 2021. I do think it's a really good entry-level phone. The processing power and performance in general, while not being particularly impressive, is definitely decent. I can say the same about the display. It doesn't have the largest or highest quality display I've seen, even in its price range, but it does have a pretty good display. And the design also adds to this with the hole punch camera and the gesture navigation, thin bezels and everything. It really gives the phone a nice, sleek, modern look. I really do love this fingerprint scanner. Probably one of the best types of fingerprint scanners out there. It's so fast and reliable. The camera is pretty impressive too. But I think the biggest advantage this phone has over lots of others is the battery. The 5000 mAh battery on a phone like this is so nice. Even flagship phones don't always have batteries this big. In fact, lots of them don't. Like I said earlier, the iPhone 12 only has a 2815 mAh battery. So if you are looking for a phone that has decent performance specs, looks nice, has a good camera, and has a really large battery, then the Motorola Moto G Power 2021 is going to be a good option for you. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.